Does this mean that once a year Orthodox churches are full of people who suddenly rise up and walk after being lame? Do the blind see? Maybe. This gets to what I'd like to focus on for this episode, which includes healing, both physical and spiritual, but is also about prayer. Through the social media accounts for this show, I see a lot of content from Christians of many traditions. And common in this content is a discussion about prayer, and more often than I would prefer, specifically the question, what to do when God doesn't answer your prayer. And so I'm going to say explicitly here, God always answers prayer. Overgeneralizing a bit, God's answer is either yes, no, not yet, or this is better, please accept this instead. We can mistake several of these for a prayer going unanswered if we are overly focused on what we want rather than on God's will. One of the problems we can get ourselves into when we attend a service of healing is believing we know what it is from which we need to be healed. If we have aches and pains or an illness, we can believe we need to be healed of it. If we're struggling against a particular habit of sin that we just can't seem to be free of, we can believe that we need to be healed of this. Sure, in the end, we will be healed of all these things. However, we must also recognize, on the one hand, the consequence of all the sins of everyone living now and who has ever lived are reverberating throughout creation, which will impact us along with everyone else. And on the other hand, if our life was completely free of challenges, it is unlikely that we would be spending it in repentance and humble obedience. Let us remember what St. Paul said in the 12th chapter of his second epistle to the church in Corinth. To keep him from becoming elated, he was given a thorn in his flesh, which, despite asking God 3 times to take it from him, he was told, God's power is made perfect in our weakness. That is an example of a prayer being answered with no. It was answered. It just wasn't the answer he was hoping for initially. But the point of his letter is he came to understand why the answer was no. So we have to be careful when it comes to asking for specific things in our prayers. When we look at the prayers of the services of the church, what we see is a more generalized set of requests, which are always tied to the understanding the intention of our prayer is to be in alignment with what will further our salvation.